What if 2026 wasn't just another year you survived, but the year you finally took control of your life, not by luck, not by motivation, not by waiting for the perfect moment, but by making a clear decision that enough is enough. Most people will enter the new year with hope, resolutions, and temporary excitement, and most of them will be in the same place 12 months from now. But this message is not for most people. This is for the person who feels there is more inside them, more discipline, more focus, more potential, and knows that staying the same is no longer an option. Right now, you are standing at a turning point. Everything that has happened before this moment has brought you here, and everything that happens after depends on the choices you make next. This is not about changing everything overnight. It's about learning how to reset your thinking, your habits, and your standards so your life starts working for you instead of against you. If you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, distracted, or frustrated by your own inconsistency, stay with me, because this is where that cycle ends. In the next few minutes, you're going to hear rules that don't just sound good, they work. Rules that help you reclaim your time, sharpen your focus, and build a life that feels aligned and intentional. If you apply even one of them, your year will change. If you apply all of them, your life will never look the same again. So don't watch this casually. Lean in. Because by the end of this video, you won't just feel motivated, you'll know exactly how to reset your life in 2026. Radical ownership of your time and choices means accepting complete responsibility for how your life looks today, without excuses, justification, or blame. It starts with the understanding that time is the most valuable asset you have, and every outcome in your life is shaped by how you choose to spend it. When you stop seeing time as something that disappears and start seeing it as something you invest, your mindset shifts from passive to intentional. Most people say they don't have time, but the truth is they have priorities that don't align with the future they claim to want. Radical ownership forces you to look honestly at where your hours go, how much of your day is spent reacting instead of creating, and how often distractions are chosen over discipline. Owning your choices also means recognizing that no one is coming to save you. Your environment, your past, your upbringing, or your current situation may influence you, but they do not control you. The moment you accept that your decisions, even the small daily ones, are shaping your results, you gain the power to change direction. This level of ownership removes the comfort of excuses, but it replaces it with clarity and control. Instead of asking why something is happening to you, you start asking what you can do differently next time. That shift alone separates people who stay stuck from people who move forward. Radical ownership requires boundaries. It means learning to say no to commitments that steal your focus and yes to habits that build your future. It's understanding that every yes is also a no to something else, and choosing wisely. Scrolling, procrastinating, overcommitting, and people-pleasing all have hidden costs, and ownership means being honest about those costs. When you respect your time, others start respecting it too. This mindset also builds self-trust. Each time you follow through on what you said you would do, you reinforce the belief that you are reliable. Each time you break promises to yourself, you weaken that belief. Radical ownership restores that trust by aligning intention with action. It turns discipline into self-respect and effort into progress. Over time, this way of thinking creates momentum because you stop waiting for motivation and start acting from responsibility. Designing your ideal year before it starts means making intentional decisions about your life instead of letting the year unfold randomly. Most people wait for January to motivate them or for circumstances to improve, but real progress begins when you decide in advance how you want to live, work, and grow. When you design your year, you move from reacting to events to directing outcomes. You stop hoping for change and start planning for it. This process forces clarity because you can no longer be vague about your goals or casual about your time. You begin by imagining what a successful year truly looks like. Not just in achievements, but in how you feel, how you spend your days, and how balanced your life becomes. Designing your year requires breaking big goals into seasons. A year is too large to manage emotionally, but quarters and months are manageable. When you decide what matters most in each season, you avoid the burnout that comes from trying to fix everything at once. You focus on one or two priorities at a time, allowing real progress instead of scattered effort. This approach creates alignment between ambition and capacity, making your goals challenging but realistic. It also gives you a sense of direction, so even on difficult days, you know why you are doing the work. An ideal year is not about perfection, it's about structure. Structure creates freedom by reducing decision fatigue. When your workout days, learning time, rest, and deep work are already planned, you waste less energy deciding what to do and more energy doing what matters. Planning ahead also exposes obstacles before they become excuses. You can anticipate busy periods, low energy weeks, or personal commitments and adjust instead of falling behind. Designing your year also strengthens commitment. When you take time to write down your goals, schedule them, and visualize the process, they stop feeling like wishes and start feeling like agreements with yourself. This commitment increases follow-through because walking away from a planned path feels more intentional than accidental. You become less reactive to distractions and more protective of your priorities. Most importantly, designing your year gives you control over momentum. Small wins, when planned, compound faster. Each completed week reinforces confidence and clarity. Instead of reaching the end of the year wondering where the time went, you experience steady progress because your days are connected to a larger plan that you chose deliberately. Eliminating low-value habits and distractions is about reclaiming control over your attention, because attention is the foundation of progress. Most people don't fail because they lack ability or opportunity. They fail because their focus is constantly fragmented. Small habits that seem harmless slowly drain time, energy, and confidence. Endless scrolling, unnecessary notifications, late nights, junk information, and mindless routines quietly consume the hours that could have been invested in growth. When these habits repeat daily, they shape your identity and normalize distraction as a lifestyle. Low-value habits are dangerous because they provide short-term comfort while stealing long-term results. They help you avoid discomfort, but they also prevent transformation. Eliminating them doesn't mean becoming extreme or disconnected from life. It means becoming intentional. You begin by honestly auditing your daily behaviors and asking whether each one moves you closer to your future or keeps you stuck in the present. This level of honesty is uncomfortable, but it's necessary for change. Awareness turns unconscious patterns into conscious choices. Distractions are not just external, they are internal. Fear of failure, fear of success, and the need for instant gratification often push people toward avoidance behaviors. When things get challenging, the mind looks for escape, and distractions offer that escape. Eliminating them requires replacing escape with purpose. Instead of reacting to every urge, you learn to pause and decide. That pause is where discipline is built. Over time, resisting low-value habits strengthens self-control and creates mental clarity. Removing distractions also improves emotional stability. When your mind is constantly overstimulated, it becomes harder to focus, harder to rest, and harder to feel satisfied. By simplifying your environment and reducing unnecessary input, your mind begins to slow down. Focus deepens, creativity increases, and tasks that once felt overwhelming become manageable. You stop feeling busy and start feeling effective. Eliminating low-value habits creates space, and space is where growth happens. Time opens up for learning, health, meaningful relationships, and deep work. Energy that was wasted on distraction becomes available for progress. Each habit you remove makes room for a better one to take its place. This process isn't about punishment, it's about alignment. As your habits align with your goals, your days start supporting the future you want instead of pulling you away from it. Building systems instead of relying on motivation is about creating a structure that carries you forward even when you don't feel inspired. Motivation is emotional and temporary. It comes and goes based on mood, energy, and circumstances. Systems, on the other hand, are practical and repeatable. They remove the need to constantly make decisions or hype yourself up to take action. When a system is in place, progress happens because it's part of your routine, not because you feel excited about it. This shift is critical for long-term change because real results are built on consistency, not bursts of enthusiasm. A system is a set of simple rules that guide your behavior automatically. It could be a fixed wake-up time, a scheduled workout, a dedicated learning hour, or a daily planning ritual. These systems reduce friction by making the right action the default option. Instead of asking yourself whether you should work, train, or improve today, the system already answers that question for you. This protects your goals from stress, fatigue, and distractions that normally derail motivation. Relying on motivation often leads to cycles of intensity and burnout. You start strong, push hard, then lose momentum when life gets busy or difficult. Systems prevent this by setting a sustainable pace. They allow you to show up even on low energy days because the expectation is not perfection, but participation. Small actions done consistently outperform intense efforts done occasionally. Systems make progress predictable and manageable. Another advantage of systems is that they expose what's working and what's not. When something is scheduled and repeatable, it becomes easier to measure results and make adjustments. If a system isn't producing progress, you don't blame yourself, you refine the process. This removes guilt and replaces it with problem solving. Over time, your life becomes a series of optimized routines that support your goals. Systems also build identity. Every time you follow your routine, you reinforce the belief that you are disciplined, reliable, and capable. This identity shift is powerful because it changes how you see yourself and what you expect from yourself. Instead of waiting to feel ready, you act because that's who you are now. As systems compound over weeks and months, they quietly transform effort into momentum and consistency into results. Upgrading your identity to match your future means changing how you see yourself before the results appear. Most people try to change their behavior without changing their self-image, and that's why the change never lasts. Your identity is the lens through which you make decisions. It shapes what you believe is possible for you, what you tolerate, and how you respond under pressure. If your current identity is built around past limitations, your actions will keep reinforcing those limits even when opportunities are available. An identity upgrade begins with awareness. You start noticing the language you use internally, the standards you accept, and the stories you repeat about who you are. Statements like, "I'm not disciplined, I'm bad at consistency," or "this is just how I am," quietly lock you into old patterns. When you challenge those narratives and replace them with intentional ones, your behavior begins to shift. You stop acting like the person you used to be and start acting like the person you are becoming. Matching your identity to your future requires alignment between values and actions. You ask yourself how your future self thinks, plans, and handles setbacks. Then you practice those behaviors in small ways today. This might mean choosing structure over comfort, preparation over excuses, and long-term gain over short-term relief. These choices may feel unnatural at first, but repetition makes them familiar. Over time, discipline stops feeling forced because it becomes part of who you are. This process also involves raising your standards. Your identity is reflected in what you allow in your life. When you see yourself as someone serious about growth, you become less tolerant of distractions, negativity, and inconsistency. You begin to protect your time, your energy, and your focus with intention. Higher standards don't make life rigid, they make it clearer. You waste less time negotiating with yourself and more time executing. Upgrading your identity also builds resilience. When challenges appear, you don't collapse or retreat because your self-image is no longer fragile. You see setbacks as feedback, not proof of failure. This mindset allows you to stay committed even when progress is slow. As your actions consistently reflect your future identity, confidence grows naturally. You don't need external validation because your behavior confirms who you are becoming. Turning daily discipline into long-term freedom is about understanding that freedom is not created by doing whatever you want, whenever you want, but by consistently doing what is necessary. Many people chase comfort and flexibility first, believing discipline will restrict them, when in reality, the absence of discipline creates limitation. When your days lack structure, your life becomes reactive, stressful, and dependent on external circumstances. Daily discipline provides direction, stability, and control, which eventually leads to real freedom in time, energy, and choice. Discipline begins with small, repeatable actions that align with your goals. Waking up at a consistent time, completing essential tasks before distractions take over, and honoring commitments to yourself may seem simple, but they compound powerfully over time. Each disciplined action reduces future pressure. When you train consistently, your health improves. When you manage your time daily, stress decreases. When you focus on important work regularly, opportunities expand. Discipline shifts effort from crisis management to steady progress. Long-term freedom is built by reducing dependence on motivation, luck, and last-minute effort. Discipline creates predictability, and predictability creates leverage. When your systems and habits are reliable, you gain confidence in your ability to handle challenges. This confidence allows you to take calculated risks, pursue bigger goals, and make decisions from a position of strength instead of fear. Freedom grows as your capacity increases. Daily discipline also protects you from regret. When you consistently show up for your goals, you eliminate the mental weight of unfinished intentions. Your mind becomes clearer because you trust yourself to follow through. This trust creates emotional freedom, which is often more valuable than external success. You stop carrying guilt, self-doubt, and frustration, replacing them with calm focus and self-respect. Over time, disciplined habits create options. Financial discipline creates choice in how you live and work. Health discipline gives you energy and independence. Mental discipline allows you to focus deeply and think clearly. What once felt restrictive becomes empowering because your effort is no longer wasted. As discipline compounds, it quietly removes limitations and opens possibilities, allowing you to design a life where your time and choices are truly your own. As you step into 2026, remember that a true life reset doesn't come from one big decision, a burst of motivation, or a perfect moment. It comes from the choices you make every single day. Taking ownership of your time, designing your year with intention, removing what no longer serves you, building systems that support consistency, upgrading your identity, and practicing daily discipline are not separate ideas. They are connected. Together, they create momentum. Together, they turn effort into progress and clarity into results. When you stop reacting to life and start leading it, everything changes. This is how ordinary days become powerful and how small actions create extraordinary outcomes. Your reset begins the moment you decide to live with purpose, focus, and self-respect. And that decision has the power to reshape your entire future. Good luck on your journey into 2026. Stay disciplined, stay focused, and trust the process even when progress feels slow. Thank you for taking the time to listen, to reflect, and to invest in yourself. Your future is built by what you do next.